Seeing at 6 p.m., I'd like to call the March 6, 2024 regular meeting of the Kenai City Council to order. I'd like to welcome everybody here this evening and ask that you're able to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, sorry.
Having a technical startup
Okay,
issue.
no
Hold
worries.
on just a second. Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Councilmember Sonart?
Here.
Vice Mayor Naxted?
Here.
Dothert is absent. Baisden is absent. Councilmember Askin?
Here.
Mayor Gabriel?
Here.
And Councilmember Daniel?
Here.
You have a quorum. Oh, and Student Representative Tanner, I'm sorry.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council, before we get to the approval of the agenda and consent agenda, I'd like to call your attention to a laydown. You should have it in front of you with the requested additions to the packet. Action, add to item G1, resolution number 2024-05, update memo suggested by the administration. Pleasure, Council. Vice Mayor Naxton.
Thank you, Mayor. I move for approval of the agenda and the consent agenda, and with the addition of the memo for Resolution 2024-05, request unanimous consent.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the body that'd like to amend the agenda or consent agenda at this time? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to please read the consent agenda into the record.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. New business item, action approval, bills to be ratified, brought to you by the administration. New business ordinances for introduction, ordinance number 3402, 2024, accepting and appropriating a donation to the Kenai Community Library for library materials, programming, furniture, and shelving, brought to you by the administration. Public hearing scheduled for March 20th, 2024. And ordinance number 3403, 2024, amending sections of Kenai Municipal Code, Chapter 2110, leasing and acquisition of airport reserve lands, and 2205, disposition of city lands, to extend the time allowed for private development on city lease lots and requiring certain financial assurances prior to the lease execution, brought to you by the administration. Public hearing on March 20th, 2024, and that is your consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there anybody from the general public that'd like to speak to any item that's on the consent agenda, which was just read into the record? Seeing nobody in chamber or online, the consent agenda is approved. Along with the consent agenda, today we have no scheduled administrative reports. We have no scheduled public comment. Well, that brings us to unscheduled public comment. Is there anybody from the general public that'd like to address the council at this time on any item that is not on the agenda or consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to public hearings. First up, item E1, ordinance number 3400-2024, increasing estimated revenues and appropriations in the airport land sales permanent fund to transfer earnings in excess of budget amounts to the city's airport fund. Pleasure, Council. Vice Mayor Naxton.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to enact ordinance 3400-2024.
Second.
Is there anybody from the general public that'd like to speak to resolution number, or I'm sorry, ordinance number 3400-2024? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to council. Comments from council. I guess we got such a short agenda. We probably have some time to play with. We have two items on here. One is to, for the next ordinance, we'll be doing the same thing in our general land sale permanent fund. So just maybe a quick overview from administration of what these two pieces of legislation do. Mr. Eubank.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We got our finance director here. I'll let Dave go ahead and give that overview.
Thank you, City Manager Eubank. Mayor Gabriel, is that a little too loud there? Do I need to back up or something? Does that help? Maybe we're too close to the other mic here. So what we've got with these are kind of two separate items, one being the airport land sales permanent fund, and what this is this is looking at looking at our market value compared to the year inflation adjusted balance, looking at a 5-year average of the market values. And with our market value being below the inflation adjusted balance, we're limited to 3.8% to be allowable transfer. And so with that, our allowable transfer based on the current value is $1,065,518, or $1,065,518. Our budget was $1,053,636, so the difference being the $11,983. And so what you're seeing here is that we're simply adjusting our budgets that allow us to transfer that full amount that's allowable per code, and referencing code 7.30.010 on that. The other one we have here is the general land sales permanent fund, and it's calculated a little different. That's based, that's limited to 4% annually of the excess earnings that are reserved for the supplemental spending. With the market value of that, we saw an 11% return, but it's limited to that 4%, and that 4% came out to $146,180, but in our budget, we had budget for $138,209, so the difference being that $7,971. So what we're doing there is, again, adjusting our budget so that we can move that allowable amount for that 4%.
Thank you, Mr. Swarner. Any deliberation, comments from council? Seeing none, clerk, please call roll.
Vice Mayor Nakstad,
Yes?
Councilmember Askin,
Yes.
Mayor Gabriel,
Yes.
Councilmember Daniels,
Yes.
Councilmember Sonart,
Yes.
Student Representative Tanner.
Yes.
You have 5 yes votes. Ordinance number 3400, 2024 is enacted.
Thank you. Next up, we have item E2, ordinance number 3401, 2024, increasing estimated revenues and appropriations in the general land sale permanent fund to transfer earnings in excess of budget amounts to the city's general fund. Pleasure, Council. Vice Mayor next. And
Thank you, Mayor. I move to enact ordinance 3401, 2024.
Second.
is there anybody from the general public who'd like to speak to ordinance number 3401-2024? Seeing none in council or online, we'll bring it back to council. Comments from council? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Askin,
Yes.
Mayor Gabriel,
Yes.
Councilmember Daniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Sonart,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nakstad,
Yes?
Student Representative Tanner.
Yes.
You have 5 yes votes. Ordinance number 3401, 2024 is enacted.
Thank you. That brings us to item G1, resolution number 20, which is under unfinished business. Resolution number 2024-05, amending the employee classification pay by reclassifying the Public Works Building Official Manager to a Billing Official and adjusting the range for this class. There's a note here that this was on 2/7, it was postponed to 2/21, and on 2/21/24 was postponed to 3/6/24, which is this meeting. And I believe a motion to enact is on the floor. And with that, I would also like to point out that there was a, what laid down was an update memo directed at resolution number 2024-05 by administration, and their recommendation, if I understand this correct me if I'm wrong, Michigan Bank, is for us to approve this resolution to finalize the onboarding, or to help with the onboarding of our new hire in this position. Is that correct, Mr. Eubank?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council, correct, we're recommending that the resolution be adopted as it was presented. And we have secured, or we have successfully recruited for a building official at the rate that we recommended in the resolution. So with council's concurrence, we can finalize that recruitment.
Thank you, Mr. Eubank. With that, I'll open it up to reopen for public hearings. Anybody from the general public would like to speak to resolution number 2024-05? Seeing none on chamber online, we'll bring it back to council. Comment from council? Vice Mayor Naxon.
Yeah, thank you. I'd certainly support the resolution, and and I primarily wanted to postpone it before because it kind of gave some extra tools in the toolbox. But what I really wanted to say was most of our conversation 2 meetings ago had to do with training of people and the city paying for it, all that kind of stuff. And I recognize that concern, but it's important to me as a council member to see our employees get training, whatever department they may be in and whatnot. And I mean, the police department actually pretty well just can be almost off the street and we train them. They go to, and all of that. That's just how that system works. And we can't be afraid of that. We need to try to retain them, which is always a concern for any employee. But I think it's important to provide training in all departments and continue that upward growth. Realize I'm not talking about the resolution here, but since we spent about an hour, I think, talking about just this, that I just wanted to say my part on that.
Any further comments?
Request unanimous consent.
Thank you. And I'd just like to concur with my Vice Mayor's comments, but also add that I'm glad to see we were able to expedite this and bring that on board because, you know, we're going to be coming into our building season, and it's very important, at least at this juncture, that we do have this position filled. So thank you. Unanimous consent was requested. Is there any objection? Seeing none, resolution number 2024-05 is adopted. That brings us to commission committee reports. Council on Aging. That would have been James, yeah. No report. Airport Commission.
No report. Their next meeting is the 14th.
Harbor Commission.
No meeting. Their next meeting is March 11th.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Commission.
No report because their meeting is tomorrow night, and actually tomorrow night is a work session.
Oh, very good. Planning and Zoning Commission. And I believe that was Alex. So did he pass that off to anybody? I didn't check. Okay, no report for Planning and Zoning. Beautification.
Same, no report. Next meeting's on the 9th, I believe.
Thank you. That brings us to item J, report of the mayor. And I do have a special recognition I want to put forward this evening. And for those of you who don't know, we have Mr. Bob Peters here in the audience, and Bob has been a long-time volunteer for our commissions here in the city of Kenai. He started out on the Library Commission in 1993, and I came on, my first year was as on council was 2010, and that was about the time we were wrapping up the addition to the library. So we had our ribbon cutting, and you know that the Library Commission was a very important element of getting that expansion and renovation improvement to the library that we have today. So at that point, there wasn't much work. The Library Commission was sunsetted, and apparently Mr. Peters couldn't stand it, so he jumped over to the Harbor Commission, where he served to just recently, and just served notice that he would like to resign his position. I just want a few personal things that I'd like to say before I do the presentation of the plaque is, one of the things I always appreciated is Mr. Peters, when I first got on council and for a number of years thereafter, would come to our council meetings in addition, obviously, to his commission meetings. But what I like is we wait till the very end of the meeting and then we'd have our public comment. And he was always very insightful with constructive criticism, let's say, of maybe things we did right or what things we did wrong, but very well delivered, and on most topics I couldn't say I disagreed with him, to be quite honest with you. So appreciated all of the input aside from your work on the Harbor Commission, Mr. Peters, and with all your work that you've done with the city and for 31 years. Greatly appreciated. And I do have a plaque for you, but first of all, I'll open up for other members for comment before we Vice Mayor next.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Mr. Peters, you're gonna, no, this is a one-way thing.
Yeah,
We're just
no,
talking to you.
no, you get the last word. You get the, you-
My position
Yeah.
is glaring at you.
Well,
Right.
I can only imagine in the good old
Right.
days, once I came to this podium and leaned over, the council was
Right.
probably sitting there saying, oh, please, address it to me.
and you know, without the light on, we can't, you're not being recorded.
Well, we're
Maybe
gonna-
that's your-
That's best.
Yeah, good.
well, how about if we do this? We're gonna give you the last word, okay? So you will get the last word, just like,
The 5 minute, get the last word, that's what.
oh, well, you can add on there too. That gives you an extra 5 minutes.
You want me to go sit down again?
No, I don't. No, you're perfect right there.
I was having fun with that, so. But yeah, when I saw you in the audience, I was thinking along the same thing the mayor was thinking about. They used to come to meetings, council meetings more often, and I think you'd usually open up with, I don't know, but, or I don't know anything, but, you know, it's like, okay, well, here it goes. And it was always insightful and fun and all of that. And so I can only presume that after all these years, that all the work that they were making you do on the Harbor Commission, that's going to free up some time for you. So we're going to see you back here at council more frequently.
Well, I wish I could, I really do. It's cheap fun, this council. It's a lot better than TV. I mean, you know, sitting home watching Les McAdeel or something. Yeah, this might be good for somebody, but boy, and they used to have coffee and cake and stuff. I did notice the coffee pot going tonight, but for the commission meetings, nobody knows how to make coffee, so.
Oh,
There's cookies
That's why
too.
I quit.
But yeah, the other thing is, I know you're the self-proclaimed old man on the bluff, which, you know, so you're going to be right over the top of that project. So I would hope that we get regular reports from
We'll
you.
see where,
Anyway,
we'll see if the project takes place. I'm hopeful it will, you know.
oh, it,
And I see the money and I see that, you know, I've heard this before though, that's why I come to the council meetings.
well, I think we are actually at that tipping point.
I do too,
Yep.
particularly when I see people slinking around down there, pickup trucks with white hats on and clipboards.
That's a good sign.
well, something Mr. Peters also did, a couple of years ago, I went over to his house, he called, you know, and he had all these old studies from, that he wasn't even sure the city still had, you know, from way back when. And I certainly read through all of those, and I provided those to the administration. I know that they had some of them.
Those back.
You didn't ask for them back. Actually, you said you didn't want them back.
I did? Oh, boy, what was I thinking?
I don't know.
No, I don't. care.
Talk to Terry.
You know, it's not when you get to be an old lady that you can't live without. And I'm sure that all of you know that deal about, you know, I can't live with this, and you got it all stacked up there and stuff. The minute you throw it away, you know, the little woman is saying, get rid of that junk. You throw it away, like 2 days later, you think, oh gee, I need a who's it, or what's it, so. Anyway, I'm sorry to take up your time, but this is my time.
We've got a very small agenda, so thanks for indulging, thank you for indulging us, Mr. Peters. Councilmember Askin.
Bob, when I joined the Harbor Commission back in 2008, you scared me a little bit because you had all this wisdom and I was like, I don't know anything. Anyway, I really appreciated and enjoyed serving with you.
Well, I appreciated you, and you had a lot more wisdom than I did, for sure. And I thought, boy, how does she know this, you know, turbidity or whatever,
Terrific.
river and all these big words, you know? So I was quite impressed with you. And look what it did to you. The Harbor Commission is a stepping stone to political success. We had Mayor John and Mayor Tom, and there were several of them. coming out of the Harbor Commission. So, look out, Kenai, huh?
Yeah. So I'll let you have the floor if you want, and
Oh, I don't want the floor. You know, I just want my gold watch to get back out of here. No, I was thinking, you know, that at the 5-minute thing, you know, and the first one is 3 minutes. So, I was thinking, you know, that's not for me. I'll wait for the 5-minute one. And used to be if there was an issue that I really wanted to address something, is there anyone from the public? And John Williams used to call me the public because occasionally Marion would come, but usually it was just me and the staff, the administration. And you only get a certain amount of minutes, so boy, I don't know if I should tell you these secrets or not, but if I had a lot to say about a specific issue, I would contact one of my council buddies and say, oh gee, you know, I've got a lot to say on that, you know, saving the bluff stuff. So the 3-minute clock would go off, and that was just in Carol's eye. There really, I don't think was a clock. I think she'd declare, or John would say that's enough. Then one of my council buddies would say, oh, I'd like to hear what Mr. Peters has to say. And so then I could talk some more, you know. But anyway,
Tricky.
I like it. I like Kenai, and I like you putting up with me, you know. I love Kenai, and I loved it in the old days. I've been here almost 50 years. And I loved it then, and I love it now. And one of the main reasons was because you had something to say. I know if it's for the children, that's a good one. Boy, it's for the children. I never had anything for the children, you know, so. But anyway, I love Kenai, and it's different than when I came here. But it's grown into quite a thing. There were no street lights, and, I don't know, big box stores, you know, a lot of unpaved roads and stuff. And I liked it then, and I liked it that you guys put up with me and would let me come and talk at the council meeting. So, anyway.
Yeah, not only that, I appreciate it. I like your delivery. You always had that little sort of, you know, this little. You got your point in, like you have here. Let's just say that. Yeah, think about it exactly. And actually, Katie Peters, Bob's daughter, was my first hockey manager, and just a wonderful young lady. That was for the children, yes. Very good young lady. Yes.
You know, and how many for the children did we see there? You know, we could hardly walk sticks. Boy, I learned a lot about politics on that one. Really, yeah, we can only spend $1 million, or we got to get a vote for it, right?
Right.
So we learned how to do things in phases. Remember that multi-purpose ice facility was 3-sided. Didn't have any ice. We don't need ice. God's going to provide the ice. Just like at Sears Elementary. It just went on and on and on. It's still going on. And then don't get me going on the benevolent citizens who all, why, if the city won't get it done, we'll get it done. And they put up money of their own. $10 million. Got a lot of press, all of them on that.
I was just over
How
there.
that ended. I hope, look it up, how that ended. It might have been one of the benevolent. But anyway, thanks for listening to me. I do love him, and I'm appreciative of this award, Mayor Gabriel and the council. And all that humble stuff about I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. It's, you know, I'm glad that you recognize me. Oh, I certainly appreciate it. Yeah. And I would like to come to the council. I would, it's fun. And you know, as we say in government, the fun never ends. That's our motto. You just lay that promptly somewhere. Boy, should I tell you what happened to the one that Mayor Porter gave me? It was a bowl, a wooden bowl, and it was broken. And so it was like my bluff package. It went off to get repaired, and I never got it back. And out of embarrassment, the mayor Pat Porter moved there. Yes. And you thank me for all I did for these commissions. How about this? I mean, think about it. I was on two. The library commission. Where are they today, right?
Yeah.
So I was good for that. barely hang on, we didn't have a quorum. You'd read our minutes and it would say August the 1st, 2020, and then the next meeting would be like June the 1st, 2022. Thank you. I'll shut up. Yeah, I know, but I probably said it all.
Oh, hey, hey, boss. Hey, since you said that we got to cook these,
I get cookies.
some extra cookies, if you could hold down.
Oh, I do, wow. You made these yourself, no doubt.
I can tell you I did, but that's not true.
Hey, guess what I'll be doing on Easter Sunday?
I think that was the most interesting service presentation I've ever done. Thanks for that. And then I guess we're still in the report of the mayor. So one other thing I just want to point out is that next meeting, I just asked council to be prepared to come up with some dates for our evaluations for our employees, which is generally around the middle of April. And Ms. Stephanie Randall is here. And for the new members, just to give over a brief overview, what we do is we'll send out basically it's a questionnaire or a rating basically of different categories. If you have ever done evaluations for employees, you kind of know what that looks like. But if not, we can give you, if you have questions, we can definitely answer those and clear them up. But what happens is once those ratings get sent back to HR, then we compile the results and then we move forward with the evaluation. So that'll be kind of on the agenda. Just wanted to give everybody a heads up on it over here. And that's all I had. With that, we'll go to City Manager, Mr. Eubank.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. A few things to report on. I want to give you an update on our classification and compensation study. Our timeline on that, it's slipped a little bit. That's actually going to be presented, I believe, tomorrow to our personnel working group. And we're going to get some input from them on it. Right now, the presentation to council, I believe, is scheduled for the April 3rd meeting. So we were hoping to have that done here, I think, at the next meeting, but we're going to slip till the April 3rd meeting. So just a reminder for council that the employee appreciation event is on April 26th. Again, it's going to be over at the Kenai Senior Center at 6 p.m. Hope you all can make that. Last week, staff and I met with Senator Bjorkman. We are submitting 2 grant reappropriation requests. It's not really a reappropriation. What we're asking the legislature to do is change the project scope on a couple of our DCCED grants that we have. One of those grants is money we have left over for personal use fishery improvements. Right now, those improvements are restricted to the improvements on the city's South Beach and North Beach. We're asking that the legislature include the city dock in authorized facilities so we can use some of those funds for some work at the dock. The second project we're actually asking for a change in scope is related, it's the big and our final grant related to the bluff erosion project. And the language that's currently in the grant is a bit restrictive and a little bit open to interpretation by the department, and we'd like to see that clarified so that I think it'll just put the city in a better position to make sure that we can fully utilize those grant funds that were provided. So we met with Senator Bjorkman. He's offered to bring that legislation or try to get that done this year in Juneau for us. So we'll keep you apprised of how that works. The last item I'd report on is that we did get the CIP plan entered into CAPSIS. It has been shared with our state legislators, also been shared with our congressional folks in DC, and we also sent copies to KPED. They've been real helpful in identifying grant opportunities for us as well, and I believe we shared it also with the chamber. So we've kind of distributed that plan, and we're start looking for opportunities and grant opportunities to achieve some of the priorities in that. With that, I don't have anything else, but I'm happy. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The State of a City address is going to be on April 17th at the Chamber during the Chamber lunch. Mayor Gabriel and I will be doing that. So if you want to put that on your calendars, so the Chamber lunch on April 17th. Brandon McElray, I believe is how you say his name, is the city's new planning technician. He started on February 26th. So other recruitments, we're currently recruiting for a police officer and some summer positions. And today I approved a conditional offer of employment to an applicant for the police position. So we're hopeful that it's still got a little bit of work to do on that, but we're hopeful that that position will be filled. And last item is myself and some other grant staff will be attending a grant symposium that's put on in April 5th up in Anchorage. I believe Senator Murkowski kind of sponsors this event, and it really is to put Alaskans and Alaskan governments in touch with a lot of granting agencies and identify a bunch of funding opportunities for us. So we'll be attending that, looking for some grant opportunities. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions of the city manager? Vice Mayor, next then.
Thank you. Kind of more of just a thought that I've had, and I did mention this to the city manager regarding the Bluff project. It's been something going on planning for a long time, and it's happening. And it's actually something we're going to want to promote on down the road. And I had suggested some kind of a time-lapse camera station someplace. You know, it's going to be a slow motion over a period of time building this thing, and it would be something that we could put on our website or whatnot if we did it that way. There could be some other way to do that, but I think that we ought to be thinking about how we can document it in such a way that we can present it, because it's not something you can see that easily. You can look over the bluff and see something completed below you. You go on the beach, you really can't. You go on the other side of the river, you can. But if we had some kind of a visual like that from the beginning, before it starts to completion, I think there's some value in that. How we would do that, I don't know. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. Any other questions of the city manager? Councilmember Daniel.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. One quick question. You mentioned a bunch of grant opportunities coming up and just different work there. Is there any benefit for the AML grant writing services? I believe they have something like that. Is there any benefit there or some sort of contract to help write those? I know city staff is very busy with lots of other things.
Mr. Eubank.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Daniels. I appreciate the question. It is something we've definitely considered. I think we're continuing to consider. I think our biggest deficiency right now is our ability to identify and, the grant opportunities. We currently have an unfilled grant writer position in the city manager's office. We haven't been able to fill that, so I've been contemplating whether we want to try to use a service like you're talking about. But I think that service only becomes valuable if we identify an opportunity and somebody's able to assist us with the application process. It still takes always going to take significant amount of staff time to do those, whether somebody else is doing the actual writing or not, but it's certainly something we've explored and we're going to continue to explore.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions of the city manager? Seeing none, we'll go to the city attorney, Mr. Bloom.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel, members of council. I don't have anything to report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the city attorney? Seeing none, we'll go to the city clerk, Ms. Sainer.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Just a quick update. There's been no changes with HB 250. It's still referred to committee and no committee action. And also, you all got an email from me earlier this week and memos on your desk today that your annual financial disclosure statements are due by April 15th. And I'm available for questions.
Any questions of the city clerk? Seeing none, we'll go to additional public comment. Is there anybody from the general public like to address the council at this time? Ms. Nelson?
I turned the light on for dear Mr. Peters, but captured maybe a few choice words. And what I have to say has to do with him, too, in part, that one of my fondest memories of his prior energetic comments at council meetings was talking about the bluff and what he had done, and probably still does, as he mows his yard near the bluff, is to throw grass clippings over the edge, that it would help propagate new grass. And he would try to get that point across the best that he could. So sometimes that was his closing remark as he left the room, and remember to throw your grass clippings over the edge. I don't think you'd ever have anybody else that would make that kind of comment. Also, talking about pictures, you know, we've all taken pictures of the bluff and all the fantastic colors that are there as you walk along the beach. Well, then when Sispy was here, last meeting? Talking with Shaylin Cochran and former Mayor Williams, and they mentioned the extensive photography that they have on both sides of the inlet along the shoreline, and a lot of that would be probably fairly, for lack of a better word, mechanical looking, but nevertheless, a lot of it is other types of photography too. So it might be worth your while to check that out and then see if there's something applicable in what they have, since it's so extensive. I also talked to him about the possibility of doing a show at the Arts Center in the future, utilizing that photography. Again, I don't have any idea how gallery appropriate it would be, but there certainly is, having flown over there in the past and looked at it for a lot of different years, there's so many different kinds of things to look at and evaluate from an artistic standpoint, but also just for our general information in terms of being in the gallery, but also for what you're talking about. I'm sure there's something there that would be of use to you. Just a thought.
Thank you, Marion. Any questions of Ms. Nelson? Thank you, Marion.
Remember to throw your grass clippings.
Yeah. Is there anybody else from the general public like to address the council at this time? Mr. Peters?
Don't forget those grass clippings, Marion. No, actually, I had the sanction or permission of the council to do that. It was, I forget what we called it. It was some kind of ecologically sound
Enhancement.
thing. That's for the FBI, no doubt. Anyway, I only came back because I can, and I don't know, it's difficult for you to sometimes take me seriously. However, I do love Kenai, and I do appreciate this acknowledgement from the mayor and the council. I think you guys have a tough job. People don't know what it's like to be sitting up there. And, you know, so I appreciate it, and, you know, forget those other guys, you know, we don't care. But anyway, I wish I could come and harass you every meeting. I really used to enjoy coming, and it's great to have the knowledge that you get here. And as far as deserving an award, I never gave the city of Kenai any service that I didn't get more from it than I gave, ever. And as far as the commissions were concerned, I learned so much on both of those commissions, you know. It was very valuable. I felt as though I should be paying them instead. I mean, I feel as though I should be paying you instead of you paying me this tribute, you know. But anyway, I don't know any other words of wisdom. I love Kenai, and I look forward to him fixing the bluff. I was going to come up here and I was going to say, Councilman Nackstead, I have one question, and see if that threw any fear into you. But I could just sense sometimes I'd come up here and they'd be like, oh no, please don't call me, you know. But anyway, thank you for the award, and thank you for doing what you do for our city. The citizens, they don't know. They like to moan and groan. I'd hate to use the words bitch and grumble, because that's probably not appropriate. But the citizens always kind of, but they don't know how you do, you know, to bounce all that. So anyway, thank you very much, and I'm glad I made it. I will leave you with these words of wisdom. I don't even know who knows who Clarence Ladd was, but one time when Clarence got old and worn out, he told me, he said, and you know, I was a young guy compared to Clarence at this time, and he says, you know, getting old and sick ain't for sissies. And he's right. Now that I'm old and sick, it ain't for sissies, you know. But anyway, hang in there. I'll be back in the next, 25 years to harass you again. Thank you. Thank you, Marion, for your service.
Thank you, Commissioner Peters, for all your service, and hopefully you can give us updates on the Bluff project, good or bad.
I heard I was going to do that. I'm not so sure that'll be happening.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
All right, thank you.
Is there anybody else from the general public that'd like to address the council at this time? Samantha?
I thought I was not going to have anything today, but I was incorrect. So I've been part of 2 meetings with the Kenai Peninsula Borough and Cape Head as for their marketing and tourism plan. They got all the chambers together, and I wanted to share that information just because both meetings went really well. It sounds like there's going to be a lot more collaboration between the chambers on the entire Kenai Peninsula. There's going to be some data sharing opportunities, which is really exciting. We're looking into some programs for that Cape Head has grants for, and I think I mentioned that last time, but we got to meet with the Borough Mayor McShickey, and he's really interested in finding what the chambers are interested in promoting as well. So it was just a really good meeting. It sounds like we'll be meeting a lot more often, chamber-wide, over the peninsula, and trying to work together to promote each other and to try and get more activity across the entire borough. The other thing is Alaska Airlines decided to give us a discount code for the Kenai River Marathon. So this is the first time we've been able to offer that to everyone that's coming to the state. Last year we had 19 states come for that, so this might entice more people, and we opened up registration early, so we've already started to see registrations come in for the Kenai River Marathon, so we're hoping this one's going to be a big one, even without it being a Boston qualifier this year. So, and then the other thing is Moose Meat John Cabin, we still cannot find the water main to shut it off, so we are in the process. Oh, we're going to talk about it? Okay, just kidding. Okay, I'll talk to you. Oh, good. Okay, just kidding. I don't know what's going on with Moose Meat John Cabin. Okay, that's all I have.
Any questions for Ms. Springer? Thank you, Samantha. Is there anybody else from the general public who'd like to address the council at this time?
If I can address from here, I don't know what water main you're talking about. However, today I saw Jim Bookie cruising around his property back there. He might have an idea where the water main is. He probably does.
Yeah, if anybody does, sounds like administration might have an update on that, so Ms. Springer maybe can get with them. Otherwise they can get a witching stick out there, I guess, and that works sometimes. With that, I'll go to council comments, and we'll start down there with our student representative, Ms. Tanner.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. So there's not much to report because spring break is coming up really soon. But for Connections, tomorrow they have an ice fishing event, and on March 19th they have a Career Talk Tuesday. Kenai Alternative High School did not have any events to report at this time. Kenai Central High School had their band concert on the 4th. I was not able to attend, but I heard it went well. And their spring sports, soccer, softball, and esports are starting up. And on March 7th through the 9th, the girls and boys basketball teams will be leaving to compete at the regional tournaments in Homer. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sonart.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. I'd like to thank Mr. Peters for your time across the years, time, energy, and effort that you have given to the city, to the commissions that you've worked on, and continuity is extremely valuable when, working in a city, working in an organization, and you leave with a lot of institutional knowledge. And I just hope that you'll stick around and we can pick your brain from time to time. And also, I want to thank you for the walk down memory lane tonight about the library ribbon cutting ceremony. I hadn't thought about that in a long time. I assume some of you guys were there, it was a rainy day. It was. Because Mayor Pat Porter had me play the Star Spangled Banner that day. And I remember standing out in the rain, getting it done. But I hadn't thought about that in a long time. But thank you again, Mr. Peters.
Councilmember Raska?
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Thank you again, Bob. I really, truly appreciated my tenure with you on Harbor Commission and everything that you brought to the city. Thank you. I had the opportunity to attend the Historical Society meeting on Sunday, and we had a really interesting presentation by Eli Porter. They're renovating the Snug Harbor Cannery, and anyway, it was really interesting. And then I also got to go to the First Friday at the Art Center, and be very, very careful out there with the ice, that glare ice under the snow. I fell and had a small concussion from it, so you just never know where it's at, so be careful.
Councilmember Daniel?
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Well, I'm glad you're here and not too hurt. Mr. Peters, I must have missed out on a great opportunity to be on the Harbor Commission. I jumped right into council, so I'm hoping you come back and harass us a little bit so I can get some constructive feedback, being the new guy. So thank you for your service. I had the opportunity, what has it been, 2 Fridays now? Yes, to do the Love of Reading at Mountain View. It was a lot of fun. Do not ask kindergartners questions, because questions are very difficult. They'll tell you about their teeth, they lost a tooth, they'll tell you about the sky, they'll tell you about what they had for lunch. It was a lot of fun, though. We had a great time. Kids loved it. We loved it. It was a lot of fun. That was very enjoyable. And then, let's see here. The only other thing I wanted to throw out there for everybody, if they're looking for something on Sunday, we have an opportunity to attend a fundraiser for our local hockey clubs. The Hockey Club Alaska at 3 p.m. The 10th at 3 p.m. there, go to the Sports Center. So if you're interested in looking for a Sunday afternoon meal and to support some youth hockey, there you go. That's all I got.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Naxon.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Peters. I think I probably went on enough before, so we'll just leave it at that. And I know where you live. I might come knock on your door because I'll miss you. Council member Askin mentioned the First Friday. I went to that, but I went to 2 because the city of Kenai is cool, in which we have 2 First Fridays at the same time in the evening. So I went to the one at the Art Center, enjoyed the heck out of that, and it's about a 2-hour process. And then I went over to the chamber and went through that as well and enjoyed it. So that's something I'm going to look forward to in the future. So 2 First Fridays at the same time. Yeah. The other thing I have to mention, I mentioned a few weeks ago about the Bronze Bear Committee was going to meet and all that kind of stuff. We had our first meeting on the 1st of March. It was the kickoff meeting to talk about the Bronze Bear for the airport terminal landscaping. The Bronze Bear project essentially is a Sal Brown bear with a fish and a couple of cubs, and kind of together and doing things and on rocks and all that. But the group consists of myself, Mary Bondurant, Michael Bernard, he's with Parks and Rec, Matt Connor, he's with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Samantha Springer, who's here in the audience, and Christine Cunningham. So good group. And primarily what we're doing was we're just deciding whether or not that what we were doing was the right direction as far as what the display would look like and all of that. We all concurred. The dollar amount that we had from someone somewhere, it was just probably a high one, is $200,000 for this, which is a lot of money. And but at any rate, Mary Bondurant's going to try to get not so much a quote, but a more likely price for that. But I guess in talking with Samantha Springer, if you don't mind me saying, who is very adept at fundraising and doing all of that, it doesn't scare her one bit. So I got kind of calm about it because it's just like, oh, well, you know. So anyway, I would expect to see something coming forward with that as we move forward, and I'll keep reporting on that. Our next meeting, I think, is in May, later on in May, and I'll give a report after that. So if there's any questions on any of that, that's all I have.
Thank you. And I'd just like to say that there's a bunch of cookies out there that Missy made from the senior center. If you haven't had one, they're well worth the effort. And with that, it looks like there's a bunch of them, so don't be afraid to grab a couple for folks at home. And with that, seeing no other pending business before this body, we are adjourned.
Goodbye.